all the guys at 161st Street, I just have 2 words for you. See ya.
All right, welcome back, I guess, to the Boys of 161st Street, episode 141. Getting dangerously close to that episode 161 there, Chandler. So you got another episode with me and Chandler. Damon is away. Murph is working as usual. We're going to figure it out, I promise. But as always, and as probably you guys would appreciate most, Chandler and Luke here talking about the Yankees. I don't know why you're here, but we're glad you are. If you're listening to the show, if you're watching it live on YouTube or on Twitter, we appreciate you guys as well.
Misery loves company.
Misery does love company. So if you guys want to drink the tears, they're here, and then we'll be letting them fly. But yeah, Yankees, another bad series against the rivals, I guess you want to call it, from Queens. I don't know even what to say about this series.
Can it be a rival if it's that one-sided?
Well, I mean, historically, it's one-sided in our favor, but this season, it's one. I mean, they're not having the best year either. They are in first place, but, you know, I don't know. Basically, one little recap, 30-second recap. Game 1 got postponed. Game 2, which is Game 1, happens on Saturday. I actually went to that game, and it's funny because I went to that game, and very cool moment for me. One person who sat in front of us actually recognized me. He was like, hey, is this your podcast? I was like, hey, yeah, that is my podcast. It's pretty cool. Thanks for following. Appreciate it for listening. So, if you are listening to that guy, I didn't catch his name, but appreciate you. And also, I met two new friends. One was a Mets fan, one was a Yankees fan. They were from Texas. So if you guys are listening, appreciate you guys. Actually, after that game was 8-3. Bad time all around. It was way uglier than 8-3, too. It was 6-0 for the longest time. Whatever. Met these guys, and after the game, they actually came back to my apartment, and we went out and on the town. We went bar hopping in New York City. Ended up going out until like 5 a.m. Never done that before. Did it. Really cool. Good guys. Local folk. Not local. They're from Houston. So, well, from Austin.
Yeah,
but
very
yeah,
close.
That was a fun time. So shout out to those guys and shout out to the guy who saw me in front of me. That was all really cool. But yeah, Yankees lose that game and the doubleheader happens. They split the doubleheader. Lots to talk about here. Lots to unpack. We got some voicemails in the back end of this show. But how you doing, Chandler?
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm more happy that I didn't have to watch the Yankees today than the fact that I didn't have to work. So that's something. Small wins. There was actually a little part on the 4th. I don't know what the fuck that was. Yesterday. Yeah,
before the 4th of July to everybody. By the way.
Yeah, there you
that
go. Before the doubleheader, I was pretty locked into a cornhole tournament on ESPN. There's a small part of me that kind of wanted to watch it. It was knotted up. There's a big comeback. It was like the number 1 guy in the world. I was like, you know what? I could watch if it wasn't for Garrett Cole, who turned out to be a fucking dud anyway, I think I would have stuck with the cornhole. I really and truly think that.
Dude, cornhole's fun. Watching it live, especially. They're good at it. They make every bag. They always they do a what's the word I'm looking for here?
I don't know, man.
They do listen to the rule that is you have to have a drink in your hand. I'm pretty sure last time I checked, they're always holding a drink, and that is a rule. I'm glad to see that being a nationally recognized rule. You don't do that?
That's not nationally. I think you're wrong on that one.
The rule with cornhole is you have to have a drink in your hand so that
in the backyard, not the national championships.
I don't know about that, but
I do know about that. I watched it for like 2.5 hours.
When I watched, they had a drink in their hand. It was pretty cool.
I think.
Shout out Unhinged Yankees in the chat. Free Ambergy. I agree. Trey Ambergy needs to be brought up right now. Right now.
Yesterday.
Why not? Why not? But yeah, shout out to you in the chat. If you're in the chat in the YouTube, shout out to all you guys. But yeah, not a fun time. We'll get into the games. Honestly, before we get into hot or not, do you want to bring up one thing there, Chandler?
Excuse me, a little sick. But yeah, I was just thinking, I'm trying to think of any team in any team sport recently that's underperformed expectations this bad? Like, I know there's teams that have been worse and have played worse, but has any team that you can think of in recent memory played this bad with this kind of expectation?
I mean, for me personally, as some of you may know if you're listening to this podcast for a while now, I'm also an Eagles fan. Don't ask me why. I'll tell you why. It's because when I was 4 years old, I liked the jerseys. And yeah, I know it's weird. It doesn't sound like a good reason to be a fan, but I was 4, so fuck off. But yeah, the Eagles' dream team, allegedly, that 2011 team, when it was Mike Vick coming out of prison. He was supposed to be legendary. Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, they signed Nnamdi Asomugha. That team was literally called the Dream Team. So I think that one had loftier expectations than this Yankees team, although this team was supposed to, be up there to win the World Series. So I think that definitely applies for me. I don't know. Did you have any idea? Any team? I mean, that's a pretty loaded question, but I do think that question makes sense as to this team is one of the few I feel like that had this high of expectations and is actually being this bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty out there, I'm sure. A couple that come to my mind, like the 2019 Browns after they signed Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Baker was coming off that. And then the one that kind of hits home for me, the 2017 FSU football team. They were like the number 3 team in the country, leading off the year with Alabama. And then they had to reschedule Louisiana Monroe just to make a fucking bowl game. So that's kind of where my mind goes with that. I'm sure there's plenty out there. I was kind of reading through some lists because I was like, surely there's no team. I legitimately can't think of another team that had this high of expectations and shit the bed this much.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, that when you asked me that question, I didn't even remember the Dream Team at first, but that one is probably, I think that one's worse than the Yankees. But this story hasn't been finished yet, so you never know. This could get. We're in we're halfway through the book on this one, so it could get worse.
Well,
it could get better.
What's that stat you were telling me before? Like, just to make the wild card game, we have to play incredible.
In order to make the wild card game, we have to go 47. It's projected. This is projections, but obviously I trust the projections. We would have to go 47 and 32 for the rest of the way to get that second wild card spot. And on top of that, I think you had the better number here for if we would have to have the best stretch of games in MLB history over the next second half of the year here to get to win the AL East. And I don't even think that's remotely possible. But did you know exactly what we had to do in terms of to win the AL East if that were to happen?
It was 50 or 60 something wins. So whatever the math is on that, I think it was 60 something and 27 or something dumb like that. It's just something. It was a 660, 670 win percentage, which is just not going to happen.
No, but just to put that in perspective to people that obviously the AL East is not happening. And I think if you haven't realized that yet, here's your little bit of a reality check, because that's just not going to happen. But there is a chance to win, to make the playoffs. And that chance is getting smaller and smaller by the day. We're going to still be here talking about it throughout the rest of the season. But
it's
we've talked about it at the top of the show for a long time now. And it's been our playoff chances percentage projected by Fangraphs or whatever the fuck it was sitting at 76%. It was obviously at 100 to begin the year. And shortly after that, even when we were struggling, then it dropped to 76% or whatever. And we were reacting to oh, that actually didn't drop that much considering how bad we were playing. And then I think it was last episode that it was finally 16%. And we're like, holy shit. Vegas finally turned around on us. And they're finally realizing this team's not really the best. And I think it's mainly just the hole we're in now. So even if we do start playing well at some point, if we do make some deals, this team is in a deep fucking hole. We're halfway through the year now, and we're 500, or one game above 500 now. So I don't know, man.
We're one game above 500, and then listen to the stretch we have to get through the rest of July. There's not a chance in hell we're above 500. We're going to Seattle, who's a game behind for the second wild card right now. They're sneaky, not bad. Yeah, we're going to Houston, who's one of the hottest teams in baseball. Then we're playing Boston, then the Phillies, then Boston again, then Tampa. Good night. We're done. Don't hurt yourself anymore. Enjoy this team for what it is, even though you can't enjoy it because it's the laziest brand of baseball I've ever seen. But just I think we all need to start looking towards 2022 if we're going to be thinking playoffs.
Yeah. Did you want to get into hot or not?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I guess we have to, right?
I mean, if there's a hot section, I'll be surprised.
We should start with the nots, honestly. But I'm gonna start with the hots, and then we'll end with the. We need to bring ourselves up a little bit, but we'll start with the hots. There are actually a few hots, to be honest. So.
Okay.
First on the hot list is Mr. Chad Green, and more conversation to be had here after. But he had 3 perfect innings last game yesterday. Finished off with an immaculate inning, and he's just been pretty damn good all season. Mr. Reliable. Can't say the same for some other people that maybe talked about later. Are you buying or selling that?
I buy it.
Nestor Cortez, full season now, 21 innings pitched, 1.29 ERA, 1.54 FIP, 12.43 K per 9.
What was that FIP number again?
1.54.
What the fuck? I mean, I guess I have to. I look like an idiot selling it every time. He just keeps proving me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whole hot list.
That was the whole hot list. There's not much. I do want to get in a lot of conversation. Well, I mean, naturally, I could say Judge again because he's playing well again. He's leading the team offensively. He's still piling on some stats for a good year as a total, like just solo year. Aaron Judge could still win MVP, and that he's building that resume up for this season. And I could have said that, but I've said so much whenever we do hots. I try to bring new conversation up. So, yes, I could have brought Judge up. No, yes, I probably could have brought Gary up. But I would like to just hone in on these two guys because they're going to promote a lot more conversation for this episode in particular. You said Chad Green buy, Nestor buy. Not even a cautionary buy for Nestor. So that was something that I think you have done in the past because I have brought up Nestor before. But now I think the sample size is a little bit bigger. You've sold it before.
I've sold him every time, and I just look like an idiot, which I'm happy. That's, people always get upset at us, like, just wait till player X goes off. You guys are going to look like fucking idiots. Like, let him get on the field, you dumbass. Like, hey, man, we're all Yankees fans here. I hope I'm wrong. And I'll be the first person to tell you I'm wrong. Like, Tim LeCastro, he actually looked pretty good. He's got an open invite to come on here and tell me how fucking awful I am at my job at any day. I don't care.
No, listen, but the Tim LeCastro thing is not. We shat on him almost just because he just happened to be the guy in the crosshairs. It could have been anybody that wasn't a big move in that moment. We took a shot at him because he wasn't the fucking fix to this team. It was, and he happened to have bad numbers this season, and he's just not like a big name that we would wanted somebody bigger than that, and he just happened to be the first guy signed. Now, is he going to be the only guy signed? Maybe not. Maybe we get other people.
No.
Maybe we
Make sure you say trade because people were flipping the fuck out about it.
They got the point. So, is he going to be the only guy we trade for? Maybe, maybe not. I hope. At this point, we'll have a conversation about that in a little bit about buying or selling like we always do, but like we'll hit that in a bit. But like he happened to be the first guy to be signed, and obviously that's not the fix of the Yankees, so that's why we kind of made fun of that because we need a bigger move than that. Now,
to get you back on track, I'm going to tell you the moment that I bought Nestor Cortez, when I saw him put his leg behind his other leg in his little wind-up thing. At that awesome moment, I was like, you know what? I don't care if he has a 15 ERA the rest of the year. I'm sold. I'm done. This is him. This is our guy.
So, yes, these numbers are good. 21 inning pitch is pretty good too. He has just almost as many innings as Chapman does this year. So we'll take that with how you will. But man, the FIP is there too. The Ks per 9 are high. 12.43 Ks per 9 is very high. And I get it. He doesn't have as much of a sample size as other guys like Loaiza, who is just a fucking workhorse, which I will mention him in a little bit. And Chad Green has also been just as much of a workhorse as Loaiza. But like, man, Nestor, I was watching the Sunday Night Crew, who I wouldn't even call them a crew. It's just fucking Matt Vasgersian and A-Rod, but they were making mention of it, and it is a little bit interesting to have them. The one thing I will take out of the Sunday Night Crew is like I like hearing a different set of eyes on this team, not necessarily a team that's been watching them like our home announcers have every year. So it's almost like national recognition. Whatever they say is like what the world's thinking. So I kind of like that perspective of it. So I think it was Matt Vasgersian was talking about how genuinely hard it must be to hit Nestor Cortez. He doesn't blow anything by you. I think he even said that night he didn't top 93 all night, which is obvious. We've talked about Nestor not being a guy like that who has crazy fast stuff. He's a small guy. I don't think he can throw that hard, even if he fucking put his kids on the ball. But like those you see it with guys like Johnny Cueto, and it's just like that can't be easy to hit. And I will give this to A-Rod too. A-Rod was saying, dude, things like that throw a hitter off. Hitting is all about timing. It's all about all that stuff. And he does the Cueto type thing, and he's doing it. And he's a lefty versus Cueto as a righty, so that may be even more difficult to hit. I mean, I was gonna say I'm not gonna compare the two, but Cueto's not anything crazy himself, so it's a pretty good comparison, to be honest. And that thing, like you said, when he put his foot behind the other foot. One thing I wanted to bring up a little bit too. At what point is it a balk? Because he's testing the limits on the balk rule.
No, I thought that was a balk, but I don't. Apparently, I don't know the balk rules. But dude, I saw something the other day, and it's kind of true. It's like Nestor Cortez is partially impossible to hit because you're laughing too fucking hard when you're in the box.
Did you see Nimmo laugh right after that one where he crossed his foot? He was like,
dude,
"Oh my god!"
Ohtani had to step out because he was laughing so hard when he did the 65 foot pumps back there, and Ohtani just stepped out, was just dying laughing. Like, I mean, fair enough. Like,
I don't know the balk rules. I don't know if there are balk rules. Apparently, they're not. But I do remember that one guy, I think it was last year, he did the foot tap thing, and that was a balk. So I don't know. And because the rule is if you do it every time, it's not a balk, but he changes it up every time. So I don't even know. If you know the answer to this, send us a DM, tell us the balk rule, because we don't know it. And he's testing the fuck out of the limits. But, man, Nestor's been great this year. I did want to bring up one thing about Nestor and Green, to be honest. If you were to rank the trust tree right now, and we're going to get into a little bit more of a conversation about this also, because as you can imagine, who's going to hit the not list, there's a little bit somebody whose name rhymes with a Schmaldus Patman, and that's, I don't know, but
no, you hit the nail on the head.
But in terms of the trust tree, I'll tell you mine in a sec, but where would you rank your trust tree? Unless you want me to go first, because I already told you behind the scenes here.
I'll go first since you already told me. Also, just a quick thing on Chad Green before I get into that. Kind of a working theory. I feel like he's been good since he got. You remember when he got sent down like 2 years, like 2019. He's been good. I feel like he gets a bad rap because he always has one game every year where he just fucking implodes. Yeah. Like last year was against the Mets, where he gave up like 8 runs in an inning. And I think they hit 4 straight home runs off of him. And you're like, what in the fuck is going on? So that's my theory. I think he's been solid, but I think that one game per year just makes everybody like, dude, what the hell happened to this guy?
Well, his numbers this year are 43 innings pitched, 43.1, excuse me. That 0.1 is pretty big because people like Chapman can't even get an out this recent outing. So the 0.1 is important. So
no,
sorry for that, Chad.
I think Chapman's last 5 appearances, he hasn't recorded an out or something ridiculous. Like last 5 innings he's been brought in, he hasn't recorded an out. Something ridiculous.
That would be ridiculous.
It was something along those lines. It was like, I remember the numbers by the stat. It was 10 and 5.
Pump it. We'll get to Chapman in a second. He's going to make the not list, spoiler alert. But
okay. Here's my trade.
Hold on, but Chad Green this year has had a 3.03 expected ERA, so his numbers are in line with what he's been doing. I think he has a 2.28 real ERA and a 3.09 FIP. So he's been having a good year this entire year. So
I think he had one implosion game earlier in the year we gave up.
I think
40.
so too. I think you're right. I think those are the ones you remember, and it's
exactly.
Just like, yeah.
And then you don't trust him for a month or two after that
because he's also not a flashy player, so you don't remember just like him consistently putting in the work and like I don't know. He looks like an average Joe guy, and I think that plays into you remember the bad shit, you don't remember the good shit. But go ahead.
He's an easy punching bag for some reason. Yeah. Just like every time I see him when he does, like I like Chad Green too. Every time he does bad, it makes me so much more mad than when somebody else.
I don't know why.
It's just like, man, fuck that guy. Like, what am I doing? I actually like Chad Green. I don't know why I'm like freaking out right now. We're gonna miss the playoffs anyway. Who gives a shit if he gives up a run?
Well, we'll pump the brakes on that. Maybe not yet.
Okay, here we go. Trust tree. Finally, to answer your question from like 10 minutes ago. One, I think it's a no-brainer. If you don't pick Loizaga, then you're not watching the games. Chad Green, and then who else is even in the bullpen that isn't terrible? I guess I would go Nestor right now because Britton's hurt. Chapman, I don't know what to say about him. We'll get to that, but and then you got Wandy Peralta, Sessa, all those guys. I'm trying to think if I'm missing somebody obvious, but right now
I'm missing one guy obvious.
Am I missing one obvious one?
My favorite pitcher on the planet, who had a little bit of a rough road.
Oh, Darren O'Day. I forget Darren O'Day is on the team sometimes.
Coming off injury, so it's not you can forget about him a little bit, but he's back.
I would put him behind Nestor right now, though. He gave up a fucking nuke to Pete Alonso the other night. He just threw an 85-mile-an-hour
Yeah,
fastball right down
and then
the
he
middle.
settled in a little bit. But I think, to be honest, I think I shouldn't have told you before we got on the air because you just straight up stole everything that I had to say. But I have it written down here for the folks at home. I wrote down Trust Tree, Loizaga, Chad Green, Nestor Cortez, O'Day, 3 feet of shit, Chapman, Peralta, Wilson. And you just robbed me of that. So tip my cap to you for remembering what I said. You clearly listen. So that's more than Damon can say. So you did listen to me.
Hey, I'm here. That's more than Damon can say.
Yeah.
I'm
so
here.
I put Loizaga at the top. And like you said, if you're not putting him at the top of your trust tree, for those watching at home and watching live in the chat, let us know. What do you guys think is your trust tree? Because I'm curious, because it is halfway through the year now. And I brought this up because I wanted to kind of reassess the way the bullpen's being used. If you were manager tomorrow, would you keep rolling out the same shit? Because we're going to get into the conversation a little bit about Chapman and the closer role. Just a teaser.
No, I saw like the
we'll
last
get there in a second. But I think to tease that a little bit and to open that conversation up, you're nuts if you don't put Loizaga at the top of the trust tree. Trust tree is not saying he should be the closer. That's a conversation for 10 minutes from now. But that means when he comes in, I'm most confident. So I think Loizaga is absolutely at the top there. I think Chad Green's absolutely number 2. And I think Nestor comes into that 3 spot for sure. Since Britton's down, I think Britton probably would be there if he was healthy. Granted, he also, if he was healthy, could have potential to be blowing up right now also. So you never know. But historically, I would put Britton there. And then Darren O'Day, although he gave up the home run, he settled in a little bit, and he's been great all season when he was healthy. And he's probably shaking off some rust too, so we got to give him a little bit of chance to come back there. But then, 3 feet of shit, Chapman, Peralta, Wilson. The Chapman thing just pisses me off. And I guess do you want to just get into the knots now? Unless you have one more comment.
I was just going to say, I think as the stat I saw the other day that the bullpen has like a 9-something ERA during the stretch we're in. And that's just fucking bad. Also, Justin Wilson, newest member of the Sun. Get the fuck out of the field. Don't ever come back.
So those who are keeping score at home, Justin Wilson, newest member of the Sun, he goes up and joins. I think it's Sessa, Ford, and Brooks Kriske are current members of the Sun. I don't know what the maximum occupancy is on the Sun, but we might be pushing it there. I know the Sun's pretty big, but I don't know how many people can live on the Sun without burning up. So I don't know, man. That is the current.
I'm getting close to just like having to make a second one or something. Like,
well, yeah. Then the moon, I think, becomes a thing.
No, the moon's a good thing. We've established this.
Before. I don't agree with that, but
dude, every time something good happens, you say we're going to the moon, like Dogecoin, like Miggy.
Things going to the moon are a good thing, but being sent to the moon is a different thing. And I've said that before, but I don't know. Let's do the knots. All right. Recurring segment here on the show, and that is not just hot or not. That's just knots being the primary thing here. So Garrett Cole, first 8 starts, 52.2 innings pitched, 1.37 ERA, 78 Ks and 3 walks. His last 9 starts, 52.1 innings pitched, same thing, 4.47 ERA, 57 strikeouts, 17 walks versus the 3 in the prior 50.
I'm scared. I don't know that I'm buying it's that bad because he is a talented guy, but I'm scared.
Aroldis Chapman, first 17 games, pretty similar, way of going about this as the Cole situation. So first 17 games, 17 innings pitched, negative .02 FIP. Didn't know it could go negative there, but that's, I guess, how dominant he was, or how much spider tack he was using. .60 xFIP, 58.3% K percentage, 9.7% walk percentage. Last 15 games, 11.57 ERA, 10.36 FIP, 20% K percentage versus 58, 22% walk percentage versus 9.
I'm buying it.
Too many. Too many. Got to replay the sound, I guess. Buying that. Next, we have Gleyber Torres. Last 23 games, 179 batting average, 51 WRC plus. Average exit velo on the season, 85.9 miles per hour. He's lower than Brett Gardner, and he's the 3rd lowest on the Yankees, just ahead of Tim LeCastro and Tyler Wade, both of which haven't really been hitting much and aren't necessarily known to be silver sluggers.
I don't know if it's just my negativity based on what I've seen recently, but I'm starting to buy that.
It does seem like this is like what people come here to listen to, the not segment of this entire show. And yeah, these three of these names I didn't expect to have to say as frequently as we have been. And we are. And here we are. And Garrett Cole, after the crackdown, he had a few bad starts. People called him out for the sticky shit and the spin rates being down. He kind of shut them up after that by especially directly shutting up, one of them being Josh Silenson. And then you look at the numbers now and as they've been piling up, and his last 9 starts. So basically, it's even on both sides, the amount of innings he's thrown before and after the crackdown. Dude, 137 versus 447 is not, you can't throw that away. That's pretty obvious. 4.47 is not very high, but, comparatively to what he was doing before,
for
that's
$324 million. That's fucking astronomical.
Okay, I know. And the difference is what we're really honing in on. The one difference I will mention, and I mentioned it with emphasis during the Hot or Not, 3 walks versus 17 walks in the same amount of time, and that's directly due to the sticky shit not being on his fingers, and I don't care what you say about that. And I was very not... I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. And it's getting hard to defend at this point, and I am definitely, I would say, if I was in your shoes, saying worried or not, I am worried also. You said you were worried. Why is that?
I'm scared. It's becoming a trend. Like 3 of his last 6 starts, he's given up at least 4 runs. He went 3 innings. Against the Mets. This is your guy that's your workhorse that's supposed to go out there and give you, the only guy on this team that can go give you 7, 8, 9 if you need it. And he can't get out of the fucking 4th inning. That is an issue. That is a huge, huge, huge issue. And it's not like the Mets are out there fielding the dream team of hitters. We talked about it with Mark last week. The fucking Mets cannot hit. And they knocked around Garrett Cole like it was their fucking job, man. They abused Garrett Cole. Like, I know they weren't just hitting laser beams and everything like that, but they made him work. He threw 100 pitches in 3 1/3 innings. Like, that is an issue. That is a huge, huge issue. It's not like this is a one-time thing like, oh, shit, he didn't have it today. It's been, like you said, 9 games. That's a big sample size for a pitcher. That's bad. That's very, very bad.
His last line was 3.1 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 runs, 6 Ks, and a home run in the first again. So that's been his issue. It's just what he's been doing. The walks are something that really, really make me nervous. And
what makes me nervous is that he wasn't amazing on the Pirates. And then, he was good. He was an upper tier starter. And then he went to the Astros, who have been known to tamper with the game from time to time. I'm going to pull a Rob Manfred and protect them a little bit on that. No, they're fucking cheaters. So he went to the Astros, who have been known to cheat, and everybody on the rotation spin rate miraculously went up like 800 rotations per minute. So that's why I'm a little bit worried that he was okay on the Pirates, okay to good. Then he became an ace on the cheating Astros. And then he was an ace here until the crackdown. And now we're seeing flashes of Pirates Garrett Cole. And that's my biggest concern.
I'm not ready to be like, oh, he wasn't worth all that money. You did mention the $324 million, all that stuff. And I know that's not what you mean, but I am saying there are people out there like, oh my God, he needs to go. Like, all right, pump the brakes in that camp. But if you're not worried about this, you're not really watching, because there is a clear difference. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I really hope he just can turn it around. But I think that's my question to you. And I guess my point in this whole thing is, like, I don't think he's just going to turn it around. It was a different story early on in this skid after the sticky shit was getting cracked down on. And I was like, oh, whatever. It was a few starts. He'll turn it around. I don't think I'm there anymore. I don't think I'll just be like, yeah, he'll turn it around and do this 1.37 ERA, 78K Cy Young like thing. Maybe he still will win the Cy Young. He's just got Shane Bieber and a few others to beat out. He is this good of a pitcher. He's going to have
to steal it from Nestor Cortez if he wants it.
He's going to have to steal it from Nestor for sure. But I think that's where I'm at with the Garrett Cole thing is, I don't think he's just gonna fucking flip around and turn the page right now.
I think he's got a high enough baseball IQ because if you listen to the man talk, he's a fucking genius at baseball. I don't know how he is in other shit. I'm assuming he's a smart guy. He talks like he's smart, but his baseball IQ is off the fucking charts. I think that is what gives me hope that he'll learn how to pitch without the sticky shit because he's so technical and so methodical, if you will, with everything he does that I think he'll be able to do it. But like you said, it's not an overnight fix. Fuck no, that's going to take weeks and weeks to you're basically reinventing yourself. You don't have that crutch anymore to lean on.
I don't know. When I hear reinvent myself or reinvent yourself, I think of when people talked about CC being, not throwing fast anymore. He's still throwing 100 too, which I'm
not saying it like that. I'm saying in terms of you can't just rip off a knuckle curve on a 3-0 count and dot it on the black exactly where you want it anymore. You're going to have to reinvent your pitch sequence and shit like that because you can't locate as well.
Yeah, I think mainly what it is has been location for him, and that is obvious with what you're watching and the walk numbers and all that. And I think just missing your spots, and he gives up home runs, and he's been getting hit. That's it. Simple as that. And I haven't looked at the advanced stats there. Maybe that is something that the action guys can tell us in their new segment that will be coming out in the Friday episode. Teaser to that. But yeah, man, I'm definitely worried. I think that's all I have to say about that. In other news, I think people that I'm also worried about, Chapman, like you said, you are worried about him, obviously. I think we have to pull out the conversation here. People were talking about it. Should you pull him from the closer role? What are your thoughts on that?
If there's ever a time to do it, it's right now. I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? I don't think he should be out there right now anyway, even if we were winning games, because he's broken. I mean, he is a broken man up there.
That's what I was going to say. He's a broken man, and you could see it. He looks
lost.
He doesn't look even shocked when he blows another save. He just throws his hands in the air and go like this. Yeah, and I don't know, man. It's just
fuck. Here we go again. 0-2, you're drilling a guy. He missed his spot by 28 feet on that fucking hit by pitch, and then he walks the next guy on 4 pitches, and he gets fucking yanked.
Hanging slider, give up the fucking home run.
Well, the game before that against the Angels, he walked the bases loaded, gave up a grand slam, walked 2 more, and we're just like, holy hell, man! Like
in that last start, 0 outs, 1 hit, 3 runs, 1 walk, 1 home run. And he's up to a 4.71 ERA now. Like, that's so high considering before that. I mean, I mentioned it before. 17 innings pitched, negative 0.02 FIP, 0.60 expected FIP, 11.57 ERA, like in the last 15 games. That's going to fucking do it. And the biggest thing there, too, the difference between the numbers, he had a 60% K percentage. He was striking out 60% of people. 20 now. He's just getting hit, and he's walking 22% versus 9.7. And I don't want to get too bogged down in the numbers, but when you're dealing with a guy like Chapman, who is like a guy who can light up the stat sheet in terms of numbers, when they're this different, it's fucking crazy, man. And the negative 0.02 FIP versus a 10.36 FIP is ridiculous. Those are 2 different players. That's like when you look at somebody who, you're playing online in MLB The Show, and you're fucking smoking a person. And you're looking at it, you don't see who you're playing against, and then all of a sudden you just start ripping their fucking, or you're playing bad against a person, and all of a sudden they turn into God because probably a 13-year-old kid passed the controller along to like their older brother who now knows how to play, and it's just like, this is a different person pitching right now. It's like, where was that guy, or where is he now? Can we ever get him back? And onto the question of, can you pull him from the closer role? Like you said, I agree. I think he gets pulled from the closer role, and I personally would put, I think I would have the most trust in Green there because he's been around the block. I know the conversation you've been talking about a lot was they're grooming Loaiza.
I said it before the season started, or at the beginning of the season. I think now is as good of a time as ever to start getting Loaiza. Who fucking cares? Like, at some point, the front office has to admit to themselves that this team is not winning anything. Even if they make the playoffs, they're not winning dick. Like, sorry. This team, as constructed, even CC Sabathia said it, who's the biggest fucking Yankees supporter of all time. He even said on his show that the Yankees, as constructed, are not going to make the playoffs, and if they do, they're not going to win shit. And I agree 100%. So what do you have to lose by putting in, A, your best pitcher, and B, the guy that presumably he has all the tools necessary to be the next closer, and he's not that old. So, like, I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer. At least while Chapman figures out whatever the hell's going on right now. If you want to put him back in the closer role, if you're somehow contending later in the year and you want to put him in the closer role that shows that he's not a fucking just mental midget anymore, go ahead. But like I said, right now, why not? What do
Yeah.
you have to lose?
I think it's a similar situation to what happened to the guy that I think should be in the closer role right now. Again, I think it's a temporary fix. I think Chapman is a very good pitcher, but I think what he's doing right now, he needs a little bit of a reset, and I think that happened to the guy that I want in there. I want Chad Green in there. They sent down Chad Green. He's been great ever since. He has a few blow-ups here and there, like we mentioned before, but I think I would rather currently have Chad Green in the closer role only because, one, he's coming off of what he just did. He threw 3 perfect innings and an immaculate inning. He looks as good as it gets right now. That being said, I wouldn't be upset if it was Loaisiga or Green. I just think that Loaisiga's young. If you just throw him into the fucking closer role, he could have a hiccup there. I think Chad Green would be more suited to just, take the fucking baton and run with it. I think Loaisiga he can do it. I just think that there would be less hiccups if Green were to do it, just because of the age thing. Would I be upset if they put Loaisiga in there and he started? Would I be shocked if they put him in there and he just started doing well? No, not really. But I think the safer thing right now, especially here's the thing too. Who gives a fuck? Like you said, I just don't think you can keep running Chapman out there when he's blowing literally everything. And if that stat is true that you said that he hasn't recorded an out in like the last 3 starts, I think it's pretty much obvious. And I think if you do run back out there again, like that's just another chapter in the book of just things I don't agree with from Boone. It's just
I thought I saw him. I was cooking dinner, so I was like half watching the second game, and I saw him stand up in the bullpen, and I lost my fucking mind. I think he was just moving spots when they put the camera on him, but whew,
what'd you cook?
I had chicken marsala.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I asked because I figured you made something nice, and that is something nice.
And admittedly, my dad made it, but I do know how to make it.
Mind.
If that is any consolation,
it's not.
Okay, I'll go fuck myself.
I would like to hear from you guys if who you would want in the closer role. I think that conversation stems to the trust tree a little bit, but I wouldn't be upset with the top 2. I honestly wouldn't even be upset if it was Nestor out there because of the way he's fucking pitching. I obviously don't think that's gonna happen, but man.
Chapman's last 2. Here you go. Here's a stat for you. In Chapman's last 2 appearances, he has recorded 1 out, given up 7 earned runs, 2 home runs, and has walked 4 and hit 1. Not going to get it done.
No.
It's not going to get it done. In my professional opinion, that's bad news.
One thing in this game too, the Chapman blow-up game. Was that the Chapman blow-up game? No, this is the game after. So this is game 1 of. Wait, this is the same game. Yeah, this is.
Let me say this real quick too. The game before that too, before these full-on implosions, he also gave up 2 runs and almost blew that game.
Yeah. So with this game, that was the fan interference game too, which I just wanted to make mention to that because I think there needs to be some kind of rule in place where if it's the opposing fan, then it doesn't benefit them because it was a Mets fan who very clearly hung over the fence, and it wasn't even one of those close ones like, oh, I think he had a chance to catch it. I think it was Tim LeCastro back there. I think he had a shot to catch that. I think he was online to catch it. He would have ran into the wall, but I think you got to give the benefit of the doubt to the outfielder there, considering he was literally half his body was hanging over the fence, and it was a Mets fan. Like, I don't think you give them the double there. I think you got a double for that, and it scored 2 or scored 1. I don't think you can give him that. I think there needs to be a rule in place where, like, depends on the shirt the kid's wearing. If he's wearing a fucking Mets jersey, then he may, Yankees get a little bit of a break there, call it an out, whatever. I don't agree with that there.
I just think, I don't know. I kind of get it. And I kind of agree. I think everybody wrote it off that Tim LeCastro had no shot at catch that. He kind of had a shot. If he missed it, all the runs were going to score, and that is what it is. It ended up benefiting the Yankees, so I'm not, like, mad about it. But at the same time, I think if you're that fucking ignorant in the stands to where you're doing that, I think your team should be penalized for it. Like, just to make sure that fans aren't pulling shit like that. Like, if you actually care about your team and you're doing shit like that, I think it should be an out.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't know. That might
Just
be a
wanted to
little
bring that
harsh,
up.
and because it happened the other day. But
Just wanted to bring that up because I think that was something that was a
want-
little bit of a gripe for me.
I agree. I want to bring.
Gripe alert.
Great use. I think it's
And
very
wait, just
necessary.
shout out to the chat. Jet Black said, "I hate fan interference, no matter the fan." Agreed. I think. Do you think, Jet Black? Do you think that there should be a rule to penalizing the fan that does it?
It makes me
his
laugh when you
team.
say penalize like that.
Penalize. So, while Jet Black is getting back to us on that one, what else do we want to talk about? We got a lot more that we want to talk about. I'm just forgetting for a second. So Chandler, get me back on track here. Oh, okay. So if we were to sell, I know a lot of people are talking about it right now, like, oh, trade Chapman, trade X, trade Y, trade Z. It's just like, who would you realistically think? I know the Yankees say they're not going to sell, but at a certain point, and yes, he says they should get kicked out, but I think there should be a penalty in game, and or at least they shouldn't be rewarded for the double. That just doesn't make sense to me. But if we were to sell, who are you selling, Chandler?
I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, you'd be able to unload all those contracts. Like, yeah, let me get rid of Chapman, Britton, and Stanton all in one. Just boop, gone, and then let me get a good return. That's just not realistic. Nobody's going to take on those contracts. And Hal's a cheap piece of shit. Speaking of which, did you see that Michael Brantley and Kyle Schwarber both wanted to be Yankees and pitched themselves to the Yankees, and they told them no, that there was too much of a financial strain?
So when we were talking about that preseason, the Schwarber thing, I mean, yeah, he's hitting the cover off the ball right now, but I was on record saying that I wouldn't really want him. Yes, he's a lefty, but he doesn't really he's not a great fielder in the outfield. He'd be more of the same in terms of the defense. He would be home run or bust. So I was in the camp that I didn't really want him necessarily, turning him away. I think the more of the egregious thing is the Brantley thing, because that's somebody I did want. He is a lefty. His defense is all right, but you can live with that if you get another basically DJ LeMahieu in there, and he's tearing the cover off the ball too, at least offensively. And that's a guy we need to break up that home run or bust mentality. And if you got, dude, it's been LeMahieu and Brantley going at it for the batting title for the past couple of years, and Brantley's doing it again. LeMahieu's slacking a little bit, but like, if you had a chance to get a guy like that to break up a little bit of that home run or bust, one player at a time, that's all I want from this team. You obviously can't fix things overnight, like you said, but one player at a time you can, and that would have been a move in the right direction to get guys like that I've been trying to get forever. Like, if I was owner of this team, I would go out and get like guys like Whit Merrifield and players that can do multiple things and steal bases. Starlin Marte, like I said, who still may be on the team. Just guys like that. If you could do it one piece at a time, I understand it can't be done overnight.
Marte was offered an extension today by the Marlins.
Was he?
Yeah, they were like $20 million short of his asking price, but they started with an actual concrete offer today. So,
well, that makes me upset because that means they're probably going to lock him up. And
be ready.
I don't really understand why they would do that. Why would they do that?
I don't even want him. Sell. Like, read the fucking room, man. Sell. And to what you were saying, I think, and I feel, I don't even know if anybody would want him. And I feel like an asshole because he's my favorite Yankee right now. But I think Gleyber Torres has to go if you're selling. Like, he's young. He's shown that he can be an all-star. Right now he's not hitting. I know the metrics say he's doing okay fielding, but I mean, he just looks lost out there at all times. I think he's young enough and has had an okay enough career to this point to where you could still get a decent return for him. I think you start there and then you try and move pieces like Voit, cheaper guys like salary wise that can kind of do stuff. And
another name in the chat, Marcus Semien should have never arrived in Toronto, by Fritz Walter in the chat. Shout out to you. I agree. I mean, I think that's another one of the names that we should have at least, I don't even think during free agency, during that period of time, he wasn't even mentioned by the Yankees as going after a guy like that. He was always talked about going to Toronto, and I think it was the Mets, and I think, other teams. I don't know, but he just wasn't even remotely even thought about. And I think we should have given more thought to that. I think at the time, there was more hope that Gleyber could play shortstop, so maybe that was why. I don't know. I think they had hopes that he would be able to turn around in some capacity. I think if you ran it back with the information we know now about Gleyber Torres defensively, I think you're at least giving it a conversation now. It's like they talk about how trading for Marcus Semien, who's been great for the past couple of years. So I agree. I think he should never survive in Toronto, but I think they made that decision based on, what they had hoped for Gleyber. Like I said, ship sailed on that. But, I don't know. I think if I'm looking at people that we should sell right now, I don't think people are saying trade Chapman. I would think listen, everybody knows Chapman's good, and I think we could get something back for Chapman. His contract's big, and I think this sample size isn't enough to be like, yo, who would want Chapman? So I disagree with that part, but
he's
old. in terms of he's not that old, and he showed this year that he's pitching. He's capable of pitching very well for. I think it was 17 games. He had a fucking .60 FIP, and he was the best he's ever looked. So I disagree with that premise, but I do agree with the camp that like this is not the time to trade him. I don't think him doing this and having historically in the last 15 games 11.57 ERA and the things that go viral and people hear about nationally or the blown saves, which he's been all over the fucking world. Everybody's seeing that. So if there was a good time to trade somebody, it sure as fuck isn't Chapman right now. A good time to trade somebody is a different conversation when you talk about guys like Judge, but I don't want to do that. See, I don't like the idea of being sellers at all. At some point, it's the sensible thing to do because if you're talking about over the course of 5 years, you look at it from a lens up top like that. Like that year you should have sold, and I think that is what's happening this year.
I think they can retool with the pieces they have now and making the right off-season moves and selling off the right things, kind of like the 2016 team. Like I think they have the pieces in place to where they could compete again a year or two. Like I don't think you need a full rebuild. And
we said it before. Look at the Red Sox.
Even like I said, look at the Yankees when they did it. Yeah. And then they came out in 2017. They were a game from the World Series. And that was before they had Gleyber and all that, like good Gleyber. But actually, I have a 1B to this question for you. And that is, do you actually think, it might be a dumb question, do you think Aaron Judge is a Yankee for the rest of his career as it sits right now? If you had to,
if I was in charge?
Not if you were in charge. Do you, as a fan, think that that's going to end up happening? If you had to predict the future.
If you asked me at the beginning of this year, I would say absolutely yes. I think the answer still is yes to me, but I think there's a big wrinkle that's being thrown into this situation, and that wrinkle is the fact that Cashman may not have a job at the end of this year, so you have no clue who the next guy is yet or what he'll do. I think that being said, if Cashman does lose his job, I think there's a very high chance that Judge does not finish his career with the team because that guy is probably going to want to come in and try and clean house and shake something up. I don't know if Judge is that guy. I do think things will look a lot different if somebody comes in because then why are you getting a new GM anyway? Clearly, the reason why you would get rid of a GM is because what you have here and what the last GM has built isn't working. So when the guy comes in next, he's going to blow shit up, whether you like it or not. But that's what you signed up for with getting a new GM. So I think that question is definitely, I have two answers for that, and those are two alternate universes. But I think because that is a wrinkle, the fact that Cashman could lose his job after this year, I think my answer would be 60% yes, Judge finishes his career with the Yankees. If I was the owner of the Yankees, if I was the GM of the Yankees, I would keep Judge. I would. And I mean, dude, he's playing a lot this year. I know he will get hurt the rest of his career. I think he's a very, very good player. That's obvious. But, I mean, I think here's the thing. If you have got him on the team, I think you can, to re-sign him, that's a mutual thing. He may not like the way we've treated players, so he may not want to re-sign with the Yankees. I don't know. We created the judges' chambers for him, but, if you're seeing this shit and the financial situation that the Yankees will be in with other contracts that are bad, that they have to eat. Now they have two huge contractors, but I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of moving parts. I don't like the fact that, ownership and management is pointing fingers at the players and not pointing fingers at management. It's I said that last episode. I don't think that's a good look. I don't think players would like that very much if you're a prospective player that is going to come to the Yankees or a current player that's on the Yankees that may be looking to get another contract extension like Judge, I'm saying. So I don't know. I think I would keep him. Now that I've been talking about this out loud, I'd probably would put that at closer to 50%. I think
That's what I was
it's a
thinking.
coin flip. The fact that he
'Cause
finishes his career in pinstripes.
That's I was thinking about it today. And I was like, if I think it's a no-brainer after this year because his thing's always been health. And I show you can be healthy. I'm not saying give him like a 15-year deal or anything, but I think it would be a no-brainer. I don't know that this team is going to stick together with this core they have. I actually know for a fact it's not, unless they're just perfectly content with losing every year, which they might be. That's what it looks like, but I don't know. I feel like you said, if you get a new GM in there and you want a clean house, he's your most attractive trade piece. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nobody else on this team right now that you could get even a close return to what you would get for Judge.
I just can't see him in another uniform. I see people do the jersey swaps. I just don't fucking. That would hurt me. There are a few that hurt me because I know it happens, but like that would hurt.
That would be a bad one. Dude, you want to know what kind of hurt me the other day? We were talking about somebody, I don't know, one of our relievers sucking ass.
Dude, that would hurt me. I'm looking at other games. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I looked at just like the Dodgers. Like, imagine seeing Judge in a Dodgers uniform or an Angels or something, like other teams like that. That would hurt.
Dude,
right here. And I think I'm going to bump if I were a GM today, I would keep Judge. For sure. Yeah. That would hurt bad.
I know you would. I'm just saying, since we're apparently a poverty franchise. And
I think it's a coin flip.
Oh, fucker, man. I mean, like, it hurt for me just to see guys like Tommy Kahnle in a different jersey.
You know where Judge could actually go. Now that I'm watching these games up here, I could see him going to the Giants.
Don't say that.
A retooled Giants team. They have the salary cap. The reason why they were like such a shock is that they were supposed to be spenders in this upcoming offseason. They built like they have very good financial. They can go out and spend. I think he could be. If we were to get a new GM this offseason, I think the script has been lining up for, like I said, if there's a new GM, he's probably going to be the most attractive piece to sell off. I think Judge on the Giants could absolutely be in the cards. I don't want that to happen. He's from California.
Not San Francisco, but yeah. I know he's up there. God, don't. Okay, enough of that. This is. But
the fact that you just got upset there means you agree, and that's.
I never
stars
disagreed.
Are aligned for that. Yeah.
No, I never disagree. I was just curious. I was thinking about it today. I was like, shit, that's a real possibility. I don't know. Play me a voicemail or something. Make me happy again.
We do have a few voicemails. If you do want to call into the show in future episodes, what we're going to start doing from now on is since we have a bunch of segments that we just kind of have been doing willy-nilly, we're going to put a little bit of a structure to this now. And so Mondays, so the Tuesday episode that you're listening to right now, if you're listening to live in the chat, we're going to do Hot or Not and voicemails. We'll save the voicemails for once a week there. Then we'll do the action episodes on Wednesdays, along with the Stat Nugget segment and Stat Talk news segment that the action guys will do for us. And that should be a little bit of a fun situation there. We'll get to that when we get to it. And then Thursday we'll be rounding thirds where you guys send in your hot takes and we buy or sell them there. But today is going to be the voicemail episode, and we do have the same callers as always call in. Steve and G have called in again, so shout out to them. They actually will be coming on to the trivia that we're going to be doing live on Twitter and YouTube. I think we're doing it Wednesday at around 7. So subscribe to the YouTube there, Bronx Pinstripes YouTube. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be Chandler and Damon versus Steve and G. So they'll be making their debut, and everybody can get a look at what their faces look like along with us, because I don't even know what they fucking look like either. They could be just, I don't know what I saw the pictures, but, I almost met up with them at the game, but they kind of flaked on me. A little bit pissed about that, Steve and G. But they did call back, and if you want to call into the show, 914-469-2168. That is the number to call. Leave us a voicemail. Keep it under a minute. Steve and G did not, so we're gonna cut them short a little bit there. But yeah. Leave your name, where you're from, and we will shout you out in the pod and play it out.
Dave down in Tampa, also known on Instagram as Splitting Tens. I love your posts. I love your site, all of it. I'm getting tired of this shit with our Yankees. Number one, Cashman has been listening to the wrong people for so long. Living in Tampa, I've been able to speak to members of this organization that are no longer with them. They went on to other ones. And until the Yankees get that philosophy of putting the ball in play and moving runners over up and down that fucking lineup, we're never going to do shit in October.
Preach.
Having one guy batting 350 and 8 guys after that, all hitting home runs and striking out, is not going to do shit.
Preach.
And while we're on the topic, How about Aaron Boone represent this franchise and wear a fucking jersey every day he's managing the team while he still has the job? Maybe when we fire his ass and get somebody else in there, that guy will wear the jersey and represent his team with pride. And then let me hear some more talk about Aaron Judge being the leader of this team. Hey, he's a great kid, and he plays the game the right way, keeps his mouth shut. You can't say anything bad about the guy like that. Patterned himself after Derek Jeter, being Mr. Cool and Mr. Even keel, and that's all fine and good. Only difference is Jeter had guys like O'Neill, Brocious, and Tino, Jorge Posada, throwing water coolers and throwing punches and keeping people in line. Who the fuck is going to do that for these guys right now? Besides nobody. These guys need to get a fucking clue and get a real team together. I got to tell you, I've been a Yankee fan since the 70s. My father saw Babe Ruth play. My brother saw Mickey Mantle play. I saw Joe DiMaggio in pinstripes at Old Timers Day. Whatever. The lineage is there, and I'll never leave. But, man, it's a lot more fun to watch the fucking Tampa Bay Rays down here than it is to watch this fucking shit show in the Bronx. Love you guys. Maybe I'll hear this on your podcast. Maybe I won't. Take whatever you will from this and chop it up, guys. Have a great day, and I'll keep tuning in. See ya.
Appreciate the call, as always. Did you catch the name, Chandler?
No, I was too busy. I've been focusing on
just too busy agreeing to whatever he
did.
That was a good call.
Let me tell you this. I've been focused on the Aaron Boone wearing the jersey, and I'm thinking back on it, and I can't, the last time I remember him wearing a jersey was the Savages in the Box. I don't even know if he wore it then. Good call.
Good call. You know what I named that call? I named them to give me that context of what I want to do with them. I named that one "Awesome Call. Let's use it," because
there you go.
Because that was a good call, and I agree with everything he said. The jersey thing, he may not have the job, so he's clearly just not gonna do that thing. But he did make mention of the conversation we had last week, and that was about Judge not being the guy who leads the team and can scream and yell and all that stuff. And that's he brought up a good little wrinkle to that, is that Jeter did act the same way, and we didn't scream at them. We didn't tell Jeter to do that. One, that team was good, and like he said, there was other guys on the team too that did it for him. We don't have that. So Judge, that mentality can play. It's just when it's the only guy on as a leader, like he said, that's not gonna play. You need somebody to fire the team up, especially when they're so low like this. So, that may not necessarily be who Judge is. So you can't point the finger, I guess, at him and be like, yo, why aren't you this animated guy like Jazz Chisholm, like we mentioned before? You just can't do that. It's just the fact that we don't have another one. It's like, you're the leader. Now what? Fire this team up a bit. And I guess that guy is Odor. I mean, I guess.
It's bad when your hype man is hitting under 200 and you don't want him on anywhere near the field.
Yeah.
Fuck us.
Appreciate the call. 914-469-2168. Call in, leave your name, where you're from, and we will put you on the pod. Next conversation comes to us from, I don't know where. Let's see. Jersey.
I was listening to the podcast. You guys were talking about Garrett Cole.
Appreciate you.
Not being a number 3 starter in the league. Or being a number 3 starter in the league. And his struggles and woes and whatever. I got to be honest, I don't think he's a number 3 starter anymore without substances, and here's why. He goes to Houston in 2018. The guy had a 4 ERA when he was in Pittsburgh. He was not good when he was in Pittsburgh. Then he goes to Houston, and we now know that they were cheating with the cameras and all that other crap. So, honestly, what makes you guys not think that they weren't using spider tack or whatever, or some other form of substance, so obviously his ERA came down when he started going there, using spider tack, all that shit. So now that he can't use it, what makes you think that he's not going to be, the Garrett Cole of Pittsburgh again? I have no reason to believe that Garrett Cole is still this top flight ace without spider tack. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think.
Appreciate the call as always.
It's almost exactly what I said earlier.
Yeah, we talked about that before, but we could get back into it a little bit. I think it's absolutely, when we had that conversation, I think that he's referring to, I don't think you could say that he wasn't at the time. I think now it's a conversation for sure. I think there are definitely some damn good pitchers there. But again, you have to look outside the Yankee walls and look around and be like, everybody else's shit, not everybody else's like stats and everything is down completely, but other people, all of them are using spider tag. So if you were to take a look around the league, there is some negative regression among all of the top flight pitchers for sure. I don't know, man. Yeah, I think a lot of the spotlight is on Cole because he was the first to be called out and he's the one who gets paid the most. So like that's why. But I think it's definitely a conversation, and I think there is reason to be worried, like we said. So I think we answered that question a lot more before. But just to reiterate, that's where I sit with it. I think you're absolutely right if you think that he's not a top 3 right now. I think you're not wrong, is what I want to say. But I think he can bounce back in a big way. Like if you look at his season stats, we broke it out by the first 52 innings pitched and the last 52 innings pitched, and it was a 4.7 something ERA versus a 1.3 whatever. And that is a conversation. There is a difference there. That is reason to worry. But then when you average them out for the full season, he's still got a 2 something ERA, which is great. So like that is why, he hasn't been like Chapman in the second half, where it's been like 11.37 ERA, which turns his season ERA up to a 4.8 or whatever the fuck it is. He has still been not unbelievably bad. For like a 4.77 in half of a year is not terrible. Like you said, he's getting paid a lot of money, and it is kind of worrisome when those numbers are, when you put the context of the sticky shit and the crackdown. That makes it a little more worrisome as to like potential negative regression to continue. But in terms of the full season now, and you look at his numbers right now, he's still, probably favored to win the Cy Young in the AL. Or if not close. And it's like, that's the conversation. You have to look at it in that way. Like I said, with the spider tag situation and the negative regression maybe continuing, that is the argument to be made there. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Just to put a button on that conversation.
Just to, like I said, like you couldn't have put it better to put a button on it. He asked for one reason why we think he still could be, and I'm just going to go back to Garrett Cole's baseball IQ and how he knows what he's doing and he knows what he's looking at. He understands the game well. So I think if he goes and he looks, and unless he just really doesn't have talent, but he was a first round pick twice. So, I mean, the guy's clearly got talent. He's got knowledge of the game. I think because of that, he has a chance to come back. And, I don't think he'll ever be the sub 2, like 1.3 ERA guy again. That is a product.
Why not, though? I don't agree with that.
Well, because you're never going to get that. You're never going to have the location on your pitches and that bite on your pitches without that stuff. You need that stuff to be able to throw like that.
Yes, but they could also come out and be like, hey, here's an approved substance that we can use. Like that is why I don't think this is the be all end all. I think the MLB will figure something out, whether it's that fucking machine they're going to use or whatever. I think it's not going to just be this. No, it's not going to be spider tag, but it's going to be something. I think right now they're going raw because they are scared to be caught with anything. So I think there's going to be something that is figured out. And obviously, like, there's something that should be figured out. Like, pitchers should have something to get a grip on a baseball like a batter can do with the pine tar on their bats. They have a bunch of different things they can use. Why can't pitchers use it? And it's a safety thing. Like, if they don't have anything to keep the ball, there are a lot of pitchers that probably need it more than others. Chapman being one of them, who throws 100+ miles per hour, and he clearly can hit people, and people don't want to get hit. And when you look at the walk numbers for him and for Garrett Cole, guys who throw very hard, you want that shit as a batter. And people have been outspoken about that. It's like, I want people to have grip. I want people to have grip. That's it. Like, I think that's a safety issue for them as well. So, I don't know. I think when that gets figured out on its own, something needs to be done. I think somebody needs to. I mean, I don't know if it happens for the rest of the year. Maybe they regroup over the All-Star break and they figure out what to do in terms of substances. But I think the conversation of him never getting back to that is a little bit early to say. I think it's only been 50 innings post crackdown, and I think they'll figure something out and he'll get back to it. I think there's still some in the tank in terms of Garrett Cole. He just inked this contract. Like, he's gonna be a good pitcher. I think top 3 is where we're talking right now, and I think there's merit to saying that he potentially may not be top 3. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to add to that.
Next call.
Just sucks to watch. I just sat here for 4 hours in Game 1 of the Subway Series, and it's bad baseball all around. This whole season's been just one entire dick punch. I'm so done. And I'm going to keep watching because, fuck.
And he called back.
What the fuck happened to Chapman? Where's the moon star that took all of his ability? He sucks right now. Holy shit. He can't do anything. Oh, my God. Might as well put fucking Luis Sessa in there instead of him. Jesus Christ. Can we just have one game where everything goes right? Fuck.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you for breaking those up into 2 calls because it added the emphasis on the what the fuck because just the 2 tones. But I appreciate the call. 914-469-2168 calls. Dude, I don't know. I think where is the moon star that took all of his ability? I would disagree with you there, and I think Chandler would agree with me with the disagreeing that we should put Sessa in there. Sessa's currently on the Sun, so I don't think he's available to pitch either way.
He's on the permanent Sun IL forever.
Yeah.
I don't care the situation. I don't care the stats. I don't ever want to see Luis Sessa in a baseball game in any capacity. I want to see him as a pinch runner, which no shit, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I don't think he will be available. I mean, the Sun's pretty far away. He might have some trouble getting back to Earth. So, I honestly have you seen him pitch in a little bit? I haven't, unless I'm blind.
I think he gave up a bomb the other day.
I was going to say it. I was going to ask you, is he genuinely on the Sun? Like,
he gave up a home run against the Angels.
No. Yeah, not fun. And then to cap this episode off, Stephen G did call. Well, Steve, alone his buddies. Steve G, gonna talk to you on Wednesday. Keep it under a minute, and we love the calls. Keep calling back. We're gonna keep playing you guys, but let's have a little bit of organization to this call.
I disagree. I like to hear the chaos in it. It's how everybody feels.
It's the dumpster fire we're going through right now.
Exactly.
So.
Don't listen to Luke.
Boys, we got me, Steve, and we got Swain here. We got Nate, we got Special Pans, and Rubs right here. Listen, I want a motherfucking Truly/White Claw. Fuck, baby. Fuck Aaron Boone. He's a piece of shit. You want to bring Aaron Boone in a 5-4 same situation. He sucks big, silly, elfin, veiny, hot. Stupid. You're pissing me off right now. We got to fucking get a new closer because we fucking suck. You know what? You're making a special appearance here. It's Nick on the show, okay? Let me tell you one thing. I fucking hate the Yankees. Not one player on the fucking Yankees I like. You know what? I was fucking lying. I like DJ LeMahieu. He's a solid player. I'll also be totally fucking honest. Actually, fuck baby White Claw. Fuck. I got something to say. I'll be totally honest.
These guys are a walking White Claw ad, but appreciate the call. Keep it under a minute. Come with a plan here, Steve and G. Been missing G for a little bit, but
no plan.
Steve and
Please
friends.
do not come with a plan.
But yeah. I mean, they are a little bit of a microcosm of the current state of the Yankees, and I think I can't wait to start playing better and then hear their reaction to be like, I told you, boys. Like, I told you we're going to come back and play well. And
they were positive in the first couple ones.
They are optimistic as in a general sense. So appreciate the call. And I think that will do it for us here, unless you have any other closing remarks there, Chandler.
No, we fucking suck. Do something, change something, fire someone, quit.
You know what,
I don't care. What?
We're going to have to be watching games at 10 o'clock. I mean, to the people listening, one, appreciate you. If you could leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes, we'd appreciate you. Dude, I don't blame you if you don't want to watch these 10 o'clock games. I don't blame you. I think it's a 3-game series against the Mariners starting tomorrow.
This is the first time that this is going to feel like work.
Yeah. And we gotta record after those games. That may be a morning record sesh.
Yeah, Damon's gonna be one grumpy man if we record after those games.
Especially if you go surfing in the morning like he usually does.
Yeah, he's gonna be a pouty little bitch if we have to record that at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. So that will do it from us. I don't know. not many expectations going forward for this baseball organization, but we'll continue to watch, and we hope you guys continue to listen. One more thing before we sign off here. We are going to have that trivia, like I said, on Wednesday. If you do want to become the next guest, Stephen G will be the inaugural guest on the show for that trivia. We're going to throw that on the back end. If you don't catch it live on Bronx Pinstripes YouTube, you can go subscribe there. We do the episodes live there. If you don't catch it live, we're going to throw that on the back end of the Friday episode, where we are going to do, rounding third, stat nugget, stat talk, all that stuff. That's going to be on the back end of that show, similar to what we did with the Mets series preview. So that'll be fun. And we may do that depending on how you guys like it. We may continue to do that on a weekly basis, semi-weekly basis, whatever you guys want to do. And if enough people want to be on the show and challenge the boys, it's called Beat the Boys. That's awesome too. If you want to submit questions to the Beat the Boys segment of the show, Fritz Walter, greetings from Germany. Shout out to you. Said bye, but peace. But if you wanna send in some questions, our
been
DMs,
to Germany. Fun fact.
Yeah, our DMs are always open, so you can send us some questions. Send us just the question, not like A, B, C, or D. Just send us the question that you want us to use, and we'll use it if it's good enough. Some of them, if they're too hard, I don't know, but we'll definitely, we appreciate the questions that you send us. So DMs are always open. If you want to email it to us at the161podcast@gmail.com, that works too. Also on the Tuesday nights before the day before the show, we'll put up a little bit of a story poll question thing of whoever wants to send in questions. You can send them there, and I will always be researching questions as well because I'm bored and don't have anything else to do. So that will be a fun thing to look forward to going forward, and let us know if you guys enjoy it, and we will keep doing stuff. And if you have any ideas for other stuff that you want to see us do, feel free to let us know that too, because we are always open to doing other stuff, keeping ourselves busy and keeping ourselves honestly not talking about the Yankees. So that's why I'm excited for these Jeopardy / trivia sessions, because that's just less of the same, that we could break it up, the monotony of this podcast a little bit, and do a little bit of fun stuff, because baseball is fun and we don't want to forget about that. And there's a lot of fun things to talk about, and we will. So appreciate you guys listening. Shout out to everybody who stuck it out to the end here and listen to my dumbass and Chandler's dumbass talk about this dumbass team. So we will catch you guys later.